I spent 2 years convalescing in New Zealand. On the first day back in my homeland, my cousin, Chen Xian, organized a welcome banquet for me. The guests who attended the banquet were all young ladies and gentlemen from our social circle. It had been quite some time since we last met. The young ladies who once played with me now exhibited an unusual silence, each one rendered mute. My younger brother, Yun Fingmian, the heir of the Yun family, who used to obediently follow behind me and sweetly call me sister, has also grown distant. During my welcome banquet, the guests paid little attention to me, the host. A commotion arose at the entrance as Gu Shiyan entered, leading a woman, and the once quiet gathering seemed to be doused in a few drops of oil. My brother was the first to rise and greet them. Yenga, Sister Qin, you finally arrived. The other young ladies, who had been quiet and reserved just moments ago, suddenly sprang to life. Xiao Fei, come over here. We saved a seat just for you. The young woman, surrounded by the crowd, with a charming smile and a graceful demeanor, was captivating. Beside her, Gu Shiyan gazed at her with tenderness, as if they were a pair of exquisite lovers. If Gu Shiyan were not my fiancé, I would certainly find myself rooting for this couple. My cousin, ever the spectator, added fuel to the fire. Cousin, did you see? This woman is merely a stand-in they found, and somehow she has come to resemble the main character. If you had returned any later, she might have already conceived. My cousin and I grew up together. My aunt often indulged in laziness, leaving her at my home to be raised alongside me. My mother, unable to refuse her sister, was fortunate enough to have a large household, making it easy to accommodate another child. 2 months ago, my cousin sent me a photograph. In it, Gu Shiyan was intimately embracing a young woman who bore a resemblance to me. I learned that this young lady from the Qin family had been raised in the countryside. It was not until 2 years ago, when I went abroad for my health, that she returned to the Qin family in the capital and began attending various social gatherings. Initially, Qin Fei imitated my style of dress, and due to her similar appearance, others mocked her as a mere mimic. However, as time passed, others in our circle gradually recognized that aside from her looks and attire, Qin Fei possessed a gentle and demure disposition, making her far more likable in contrast to my brashness. In addition to her gentleness, Qin Fei excelled at creating a lively atmosphere. In summer, she organized rafting trips, in autumn, fishing excursions, and in winter, she whisked everyone off to ski resorts, swiftly establishing herself as the core figure of our social circle. The young women who once surrounded me began to gravitate toward her. My brother, Yun Fingmian, who initially regarded her with disdain, gradually came to treat her as an elder sister, drawing from her the warmth of a sibling bond he had never experienced. Even my fiancé, the heir of the Gu family, Gu Shiyan, transformed from vocally reprimanding her for imitating me to gazing at her with deep affection, as if Qin Fei were indeed his fiancé. My cousin, ever the vigilant sentinel, meticulously relayed their statuses to me, leaving me no room to feign ignorance. Miss Qin, do you bear any resemblance to me? I fixed my sharp gaze upon her. Qin Fei shuddered slightly, instinctively retreating behind Gu Shiyan. I let out a light scoff. You all ought to consult an ophthalmologist. Where's the resemblance? Today, I donned a delicate white dress, while Qin Fei similarly adorned herself in white. Around my neck, I wore an exquisite pink diamond necklace, and she too sported a pink necklace, albeit one crafted from pearls. Indeed, Qin Fei possesses commendable features. Yet, despite our matching attire and similar jewelry, I found no resemblance between her visage and mine. My words plunged the atmosphere into a profound silence, as gazes exchanged among the crowd conveyed a complex array of emotions. Qin Fei was the first to regain her composure, her complexion pale, as she begrudgingly remarked, Miss Yun is already renowned in the capital as the epitome of beauty. How could I possibly compare? The audience, perceiving the humility in Qin Fei's tone, displayed their dissatisfaction. Sister, one's appearance is predetermined. Sister Fei's looks were established from birth. And it is not her choice to resemble you. You cannot hold her accountable for your desire to be singular in every regard, can you? I nearly burst into laughter. If I truly harbored resentment, would they still be standing here unscathed? Fool, do you not realize that I am reproaching you? My gaze, while directed at Yun Fingmian, slowly swept across every individual present. After 2 years apart, the temperament of this young lady from the Yun family remains as dreadful as ever. I previously thought Miss Qin and Miss Yun bore similarities, but seeing them side by side, it is evident that the weary-faced Miss Yun cannot hold a candle to the rosy-cheeked Miss Qin. Truth be told, Miss Yun is merely passable in appearance. As for her temperament, I am known for my volatile disposition, a fact well recognized in my circle. My father once advised that women should be gentle as water, embodying the principle of the highest good is like water. Yet, water can also be vicious. Instead of exhausting myself, I prefer to incinerate others. Observing the individuals in this ostensibly amicable gathering, now quaking in trepidation at my words, I found the scene utterly mundane. Is this truly my welcome banquet? Each of you displays a countenance of despondency while extending warmth to the unrelated Miss Jean. Cousin, thank you for orchestrating this gathering today. In the future, you need not invite me to any of these gatherings. I grasped my handbag, preparing to depart. As I passed by Qin Fei, her companion suddenly shrieked. The package she held tilted precariously, and a large white crystal geode tumbled from the box, crashing onto Qin Fei's foot, which promptly turned crimson. In an instant, I heard Gu Shiyan's furious bellow. Yun Linling, what are you doing? This geode was procured with great effort by Fei, intended to purify your aura and benefit your health. If you do not wish to keep it, why must you shatter it? Gu Shiyan and I grew up together, our bond akin to childhood sweethearts. He is the epitome of aloofness. Even on our engagement day, he bore an indifferent expression. It was my first time witnessing him so enraged. At this moment, he lowered himself to inspect Qin Fei's injury, and upon confirming there was no serious harm, he straightened up and glared at me with ferocity. Everyone gathered here today to welcome you back from abroad, and you respond with biting remarks and destroy a gift, creating such an embarrassing scene. 2 years have passed, yet your temper remains as volatile as ever. With a resounding slap, Gu Shiyan finally fell silent, his incessant chatter quelled. I relaxed my wrist, allowing my purse to swing back, the decorative pieces striking Gu Shiyan's shoulder. The onlookers were riveted, their expressions a mixture of astonishment. Gu Shiyan looked utterly incredulous. You actually struck me? So what if I did? Must I consult a calendar for such an occasion? I retorted coldly. You are still my fiancé, defending another woman in my presence. Do you expect me to tolerate this blatant infidelity? I believed my temperament had calmed during my years abroad, for unchecked rage is detrimental to one's health. In days gone by, I would have confronted anyone speaking ill of me with a fierce retort, perhaps even resorting to physical confrontation. Now, they seem to have forgotten my former self, provoking me as if I were some meek creature. The instigator is lowly, yet they blame me for retaliating. Miss Yun, it is entirely my fault. I did not realize this gift was so fragile. Had it been laid flat, it would not have shattered so easily. I scoffed. Of course it is your fault. You present me with a crystal geode as if I were some malevolent entity in need of purification. Qin Fei began to weep, and indeed, she was lovely. Her tears were utterly captivating. As she concealed her face in sorrow, I caught a glimpse of a smirk at the corner of her mouth, an expression meant solely for my eyes. Gu Shiyan's expression darkened further. He relinquished his grip on the spot where my purse had struck him and turned to comfort Qin Fei, vowing, I had no idea you were such an unreasonable person. My brother pointed an accusatory finger at me. Sister, what wrong has Sister Fei done to deserve this treatment? When I see Father tonight, I shall certainly demand that he punish you. I chuckled, waving my hand dismissively as I turned to leave. Feel free to lodge your complaints. Calling her Sister Fei? Are you so desperate to elevate every stray cat and dog to sisterhood? Oh, by the way, I paused and turned back. Gu Shiyan, have you forgotten that it was your father who came to my family, pleading for our engagement? If you are so enamored with Qin Fei, I shan't obstruct your union. I hereby agree to the annulment of our engagement. You may convey this to the Gu family. Let this be an unequivocal resolution. I turned to Qin Fei. As for you, do I appear foolish? Though I may have a temper, I stride with confidence. I did not even come close to your friend. She simply fell. Was it an attempt to frame me? Do you not believe me? I pointed towards the courtyard lamp. The camera at that angle should have captured everything quite clearly. As I laid bare my grievances, Yun Fengmian's countenance soured, while Gu Shiyan's darkened further. Qin Fei's complexion fluctuated between crimson and pallor. The others too bore expressions of distress. Their discontent only served to elevate my spirits. I had grown accustomed to this. They would either malign me to my face or behind my back. Am I such a wretched creature, incapable of countering their slander? You need not report to anyone. I shall handle it myself. I will convey each of your behaviors today to the heads of your families. After all, this place is equipped with an array of high-definition cameras, capturing your attire, makeup, expressions. I waved my phone. Even the words spoken are documented in detail. With that, I dismissed their panicked expressions and strode towards the exit. only to collide with a man entering the courtyard. His strong hand grasped my arm, steadying me with remarkable ease. Looking up, I found myself gazing into a flawless, striking face. The man's face flushed, and he gently released me. Yet, I was in no mood to admire handsome features. After regaining my balance, I pushed past him. "Do not touch me. Step aside." Instantly, the man's face turned a deeper shade of red, his ears tinged with pink. I frowned. Was this man truly one to revel in such attention? "Cousin," my younger cousin timidly suggested, "perhaps we should leave together." "Oh, that man is inconsequential. He enjoys being berated by you." Is there truly someone with such a peculiar penchant? With such striking looks, it seemed his character may be equally extraordinary. A sense of familiarity washed over me when the blushing man noticed my gaze. He promptly introduced himself. "Greetings, Miss Yun. I am Zhou Heng of the Zhou family." The Zhou family? A second-tier family within our social sphere, lower in standing than the Yun and Gu families. Before I could respond, Zhou Heng thrust the gift box into my hands and swiftly departed. As I settled into the car, my mind was still in a haze. Zhou Heng? Have I encountered this individual before? My cousin reclined comfortably against her seat, tapping on her phone until an AI voice chimed in. Zhou Heng, the second in command of the Zhou group, the second child of the Zhou family head. Currently, his known wealth is in the tens of billions. Should the Zhou family bequeath their legacy to him, his fortune could soar into the hundreds of billions. At the age of 22, unmarried, standing tall at 188 centimeters, with dimensions below unverified but presumably comparable to that of a mineral water bottle. I felt my cheeks flush with embarrassment at my cousin's irreverent remarks regarding this AI. "Do you not recognize him? Must you consult AI? Should I know him?" "Today is my first encounter with him," I replied, a mix of helplessness and amusement in my gaze directed at my cousin, urging her to continue her act. She feigned ignorance, asking cousin, "Why not take a look at what he has sent you?" Swiftly, she seized the gift box and began to unwrap it. Once the excess packaging was entirely removed, my cousin gasped in awe. Following the sound, I saw her cradling a piece of velvet, which housed a glass-type imperial green jade bracelet. Such a bracelet is a rarity, even in auction houses. I took it into my hands for a meticulous examination, sliding it onto my wrist, and it fit perfectly. My cousin clicked her tongue, saying, "Cousin, you claim not to know him. Yet he seems well acquainted with your wrist size and preferences." I turned my wrist, watching the bracelet shimmer with iridescence, and smiled softly. Though the welcoming banquet had its share of unpleasantness, receiving this exquisite bracelet proved to be a worthwhile outcome. Perhaps the bracelet possessed calming properties, for I slept soundly that night and arose early the following day. After completing a set of 8-section brocade exercises before 8 o'clock, I directed my bodyguard to the most favored dining establishment, Union Restaurant, where a large display screen was set up at the entrance, looping edited videos from the previous evening's banquet. The footage captured Qin Fei's provocation, Gu Shiyan's reprimand, Yun Fengyan's ire, with subtitles added for the benefit of viewers, detailing what each individual had said, and every name was carefully tagged. Passers-by, patrons dining within, and enthusiastic members of the public uploaded the video online, causing it to go viral. The WeChat groups within our social circle buzzed with activity, inundated with inquiries directed at me. I responded with a simple smiley emoji before exiting the group. According to information relayed by my assistant, the second-generation individuals featured in the videos returned home to face severe reprimands from their families. After all, who gave them the audacity to mock the eldest daughter of the Yun family to her face? In the afternoon, my father summoned me to his study. Standing upright before the tea table was Yun Fengyan, silent and brooding. Upon my arrival, he cast a sidelong glance in my direction and quietly inquired, "What brings you here?" I smiled, pretending not to notice, and took a seat beside my father, sweetly interjecting, "Daddy." Yun Fengyan continued to express his disdain. "What are you so proud of? It's merely because of the indulgence of grandfather and father. Sister Qin Fei grew up in the countryside, enduring much hardship, yet you target her the moment you return." My father patted my hand and casually tossed a book at Yun Fengyan. "You dare to aid outsiders in mocking your sister, and you still have the audacity to speak. Get out." Reluctantly, Yun Fengyan exited the study. I glanced at the door as it closed behind him and asked my father, "Do you truly intend to choose him as the heir to the family business?" My father regained his composure. "Your brother lacks the necessary qualifications, and you are only adding to the chaos." He handed me the documents he had been reviewing. which contained records of the disparaging remarks made by the aristocratic families in our circle regarding me. The words were consistently harsh. These families have thrived on the benefits provided by our Yun family, enjoying prosperous lives due to our generosity. I presented my meticulously prepared reports to my father. The biting dog deserves punishment, but the one that bites its master deserves even more. With each page he turned, my father's expression darkened. Upon finishing, he slammed the documents onto the tea table. These ingrate wolves. The reports detailed how several companies had conspired to undermine the Yun Group's projects, exploiting price differentials and creating pitfalls. I lifted my teacup, taking a sip, and continued to stoke the flames. Father, these projects have all been handled by my brother. Do you think it was intentional or accidental? I set down my teacup and promptly refilled it for him. Previously, these families sought a lifeline from the Yun family, and we granted it. Yet, merely a few years later, they are contemplating betrayal. My father scoffed. It seems they have grown too complacent. No matter. They will repay us with interest. My health was indeed frail. My stay abroad under the guise of recuperation was a half-truth. After all, no one would suspect a sickly non-heir. While publicly claiming to be recovering in New Zealand, I discreetly sent people to investigate the Yun family's overseas ventures, searching for hidden traps. To my surprise, I discovered that the instigators were the very groups that had benefited from us. My biological mother had perished shortly after giving birth to me due to neglect during her confinement. Subsequently, my father married into the Lin family, resulting in the birth of Yun Fingmian. Among the families conspiring against the Yun clan was unexpectedly the Lin family, which only fueled my father's anger. It seemed my brother was overly eager to undermine the Yun legacy. The Lin family has thrived on my brother's name, drawing considerable benefit over the years. Is father truly willing to see the Yun family evolve into the Lin family's enterprise? My father understood the implications, yet Yun Fingmian was his only son, causing him to hesitate. After all, he still envisioned handing the Yun family to the son, and even though Yun Fingmian was colluding with the Lin family, it was not yet time to dispose of him entirely. My father closed his eyes, saying, I will consider it further. You may leave, as expected. Thus, I broached the topic of my annulment with Gu Shiyan, which my father approved. After all, with Gu Shiyan publicly humiliating my family, I, as the eldest daughter of the Yun family, need not concern myself with marriage. If anything, I could choose to remain single and revel in my freedom. Days later, news of the annulment reached the Gu family, prompting Gu Shiyan to become restless. When he confronted me in an agitated state, I was enjoying afternoon tea with my cousin in the garden. Spotting Gu Shiyan from a distance, my cousin attempted to make a swift exit, saying, You two carry on. I have matters to attend to. With that, she retreated to a nearby corridor, watching from a safe distance. Gu Shiyan, oblivious to her presence, approached me and sat down. Yun Linling, we need to talk. In a good mood, I chose not to dwell on his rudeness and pushed the teapot towards him, indicating that he could serve himself if he wished to drink. What shall we discuss? Gu Shiyan's expression darkened. Why did you choose to annul our engagement in such a manner? My father scolded me over this. Do you realize what the gossip is like in our circle now? I leaned back comfortably against my chair. What more could they possibly say? That I am arrogant and willful, unworthy of my fiancé's affection? Or that you, young Master Gu, are engaged to me while gallivanting with Qin Fei? Upon mentioning Qin Fei, Gu Shiyan assumed I was troubled by it and hastened to clarify. My relationship with Qin Fei is entirely innocent. I view her merely as a congenial friend. Why must you escalate matters to the point of an annulment out of jealousy? His demeanor softened considerably when Qin Fei was mentioned. Do you understand that Qin Fei was once a recognized illegitimate daughter, and she finally returned to the capital? Now, because of your antics, she may be sent back to the countryside. After 2 years apart, why are you still so confrontational? I was baffled. What did my annulment have to do with Qin Fei? I teased. Did you not claim that your relationship with her was innocent? Then how does my annulment affect her? Surely anyone with eyes can see that you harbor feelings for Qin Fei while pretending to be virtuous. Moreover, I have not coerced the Qin family into any actions against her. If she is to be sent away, what concern is it of mine? Gu Shiyan abruptly stood, towering over me with a piercing gaze. You released the video from the welcoming banquet 2 days ago, and then you annulled our engagement yesterday. Together, how do you think others will perceive Qin Fei? Yun Linling, had I known you were this kind of person, I should not have saved you during that accident. With that, Gu Shiyan turned to leave. Gu Shiyan was my savior. 8 years ago, I boarded my family's car after school, just as I always did. However, Midway through our journey, we were struck by a truck, and the vehicle was soon engulfed in flames. The car flipped over, trapping both the driver and myself inside. Blood streamed down, blurring my vision. Amidst the chaos, I heard a man's voice, but I could not open my eyes. I succumbed to the darkness as he dragged both the driver and me from the wreckage. With a deafening explosion, the shockwave from the car's detonation knocked me unconscious. When I awoke, I found Gu Shiyan standing by my bedside. He claimed to have saved my life. In light of this life-saving deed, coupled with the esteemed lineage of the Gu family and Gu Shiyan's own remarkable qualities, we entered into an engagement. Upon my return to the country, preparations for our wedding were set to commence between the Yun and Gu families. Yet now, the situation had escalated to the point of a broken engagement. My voice, cold and detached, pierced the air. Gu Shiyan, did you truly save me back then? After years of companionship, I had considered marriage a possibility. However, upon my return home, witnessing the nauseating entanglement between Gu Shiyan and Qin Fei, I resolved to call off the engagement. Now, as Gu Shiyan confronted me directly, invoking the favor of having saved my life, it was time to clarify matters. Gu Shiyan stood firm, disbelief etched across his features as he scrutinized me. Back then, my vision was clouded by blood, but my hearing was intact. The voice of the person who pulled me from the car was not yours. Furthermore, the one who rescued me bore a long gash along his arm. Had it not been for your presence at the hospital and the prior acquaintance between our families, I would have exposed you long ago. My voice was barely above a whisper as I rose to stand before him. If you have come simply to defend Qin Fei, that is inconsequential. However, you have brought up this matter. Do you believe I have been hopelessly enamored with you all these years, bound to marry you solely due to your life-saving act? Gu Shiyan was taken aback by my knowledge of the truth from that time, and he realized that my feelings for him had never been as profound as he presumed. A flicker of fear began to invade his gaze. I continued, you claim your relationship with Qin Fei is innocent. Are the photographs I have received all mere fabrications? I retrieved my phone and displayed the images in a slideshow. Last April, Gu Shiyan and Qin Fei were seen embracing beneath the cherry blossoms at Lanshan Temple. Last July, they shared a kayak, their bodies closely aligned. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, they passionately kissed at a lantern festival. Gu Shiyan's complexion shifted from pale to ashen. He had not anticipated my possession of such evidence. I smiled. Thus, I have refrained from disseminating these photographs and videos. You too should consider yourselves fortunate. Henceforth, do not trouble me. In the realm of disputes, I had never been defeated. Gu Shiyan stormed away, leaving the Yun residence in disgrace. Once he vanished beyond the gate, my cousin returned, holding uneaten pastries and casting curious glances at the photos, though she dared not inquire. However, she could not resist asking the most pressing question. Cousin, where did you acquire these photographs? Did you hire a private investigator? I sat down to sip my tea, pondering for a moment. What do you think? How would I know? I always feel you are unfathomable, cousin. Is there someone else in the country assisting you in monitoring the two of them? You seem to have a volatile temperament, yet you never know when you might be ensnared. I regarded her with an amused expression. My cousin fell silent, obediently sipping her tea. She was correct. These photographs had been sent to me by an anonymous individual. I traced the IP address, which primarily originated from within the country. However, I had yet to uncover the true identity of this person. Someone capable of counteracting the layers of hacking within my company must be quite skilled. By the way, cousin, the families that spoke ill of you at the welcome banquet have faced repercussions in recent days. They have either been dispatched to Africa or expelled from their family. Moreover, a few of them were involved in a car accident. Fortunately, they only sustained broken legs. Do you think it could be the work of some righteous avenger? As she speculated, a name flickered through my mind, though it was faint and fleeting. I shook my head and brewed a fresh pot of tea. Righteous avenger? Who knows? The social circles of the capital had been abuzz lately. Typically filled with gossip, the news had shifted to topics of expulsion and exile. Yun Fengmian had been ordered by his father to attend a business school, with a stipulation that he must excel in design and academics to return to the company. Qin Fei had been sent back to the countryside by the Qin family. Yet, within a few days, she returned, having stopped at a resort on her way back, where she encountered an ailing noblewoman, whom she saved. This woman was the mother of the Lin family patriarch, and the more she observed Qin Fei, the more she favored her, inviting her to stay at the Lin residence for a few days and even extending an invitation to her 70th birthday celebration. It seemed they were paving a path for Qin Fei. The Lin family, being related to the Yun family, was among the most prominent clans in the social sphere. On the day of the Lin matriarch's birthday banquet, held at the Lin ancestral home, she specifically invited Qin Fei to attend. The matriarch preferred a quieter gathering, limiting the guest list to the 5 prominent families and a few relatives from the Yun family. When I arrived, I found Qin Fei and Gu Shiyan engaged in laughter and conversation. Even Yun Fingyan, who was supposed to be studying abroad, was present. As I entered, an immediate hush fell over the crowd, particularly the Lin matriarch, who cast a sidelong glance at me and huffed, "You have arrived? Neither too close nor too far." It was as if I were an unrelated entity. Indeed, I had no blood ties to the Lin matriarch. By familial hierarchy, I ought to address her as grandmother, perhaps? Regardless, I had my own grandmother and was unconcerned with this woman's attitude. I instructed my assistant to present the gift and casually took a seat beside my cousin. Noticing my indifference, the matriarch murmured to others, "Such poor upbringing." I chuckled. Indeed, I was barely born when my mother passed away. I cannot compare to your daughter, who has awaited my father for so many years for such a refined upbringing. The surrounding guests wore expressions of amusement. The Lin matriarch, wanting to retort, noticed my father arriving hand in hand with her daughter, thus abandoning her attempt to engage with me, and commanded the feast to commence. Described as a family banquet, the dishes served rivaled those of a national banquet. They certainly spared no expense. Throughout the meal, most guests maintained a quiet demeanor, with occasional exchanges. Seated beside the matriarch, Qin Fei chatted incessantly, causing her to laugh heartily. I had little interest in attending banquets, finding them tedious. Just as I planned to excuse myself, I saw Qin Fei approaching with a glass of wine. "Miss Yun," she said, halting before me, her smile radiant and demeanor poised. "There were some misunderstandings at the welcome banquet. I sincerely apologize here. I raise this glass to you, hoping for your forgiveness." I glanced to the side, noticing both Gu Shiyan and Yun Fingyan had ceased their activities, directing their attention towards me. So they had been waiting for this moment. I had assumed they would merely play the role of backdrop all day. Qin Fei's words, though seemingly polite, were laced with veiled barbs. Implicitly, they pointed to my faults, showing no mercy. Should I drink this toast, it would equate to my acknowledgement of wrongdoing at the previous banquet. Conversely, refusing would cast me as confrontational, clinging to a misunderstanding. Presently, Qin Fei maintained her gesture of toasting, compelling me to respond. I smiled. "I apologize, but I am unwell and cannot drink." Qin Fei appeared incredulous. Her gaze dropped to the half-full glass of wine before me. "But Miss Yun, were you not drinking just now?" I raised the glass and tilted it behind me, emptying its contents. "Well, I have decided to abstain from drinking now." A flicker of anger crossed her eyes before she resumed her facade of vulnerability, tears welling up once more. "Miss Yun is indeed blaming me." Lin Laotai heard the commotion and hobbled over with her cane. "Fair, what has happened? Who has bullied you?" At that moment, an intense silence enveloped the room. Even the servants standing by ceased their activities, eagerly anticipating the unfolding drama. Qin Fei set down her wine glass, wiping away her tears with a hand, feigning strength. "No one has bullied me. I just choked on my drink," she said, casting a quick glance at me, her expressive eyes betraying her grievance. As expected, Lin Laotai's ire ignited. "Yun Linling, today marks my 70th birthday, and Feier is my esteemed guest, my savior. I have adopted her as my goddaughter. Your disrespect towards her is tantamount to disrespecting me. In such a setting, how dare you bully her? What would you do in private?" The crowd fervently stoked the flames. Yun Fingmian chimed in. "What is my sister afraid of? Just recently, she brazenly rejected engagements with the prominent families, and even encouraged my father to send me abroad for my studies, denying me the chance to inherit the family business." The topic of inheritance set the atmosphere ablaze. Lin Wan, my stepmother, widened her eyes, demanding to know the truth from my father. Before he could respond, Lin Laotai hurled a glass of wine at me. I narrowly dodged, and the glass shattered at my father's feet. Frustrated that she missed me, Lin Laotai slammed her hand on the table, pointing at me, and shouted, "What right do you have to speak ill of Fengmian to your father? He has but one son. If he doesn't pass the family fortune to him, who else could it possibly go to? You are just like your mother. It would be better if you died sooner." Lin Wan and my father, Yunicheng, were childhood friends, while my mother, Yizhen, was the unexpected arrival. Lin Wan had long harbored dreams of marrying my father, only for my mother's appearance to thwart her plans. My father fell head over heels for my mother at first sight, and his devotion never wavered. Lin Wan, love-stricken, waited until my mother passed away to confess her feelings again, but my father, still pining for my mother, did not reciprocate. Yun Fengnian was the child born of Lin Wan's ulterior motives. The child, innocent in all this, was recorded in the Yun family genealogy as a potential heir. In truth, Lin Wan's situation is rather pitiable, were it not for her role in my mother's tragic demise. However, my existence rendered Yun Fengnian's claim to legitimacy questionable. The Lin family had persistently desired my father to wed Lin Wan, thereby solidifying Yun Fengnian's position as heir. Yet, despite Lin Wan's relentless pursuit over the years, my father remained resolute in his refusal to marry her, instead showering her with gifts and assets to appease her. Thus, the Lin family sought to eliminate me, a fate I had grown accustomed to. Lin Laodai, at your advanced age, shouldn't you refrain from meddling in the affairs of the younger generation? Wouldn't it be more prudent to enjoy your twilight years in peace? Your favoritism towards those who weep reveals a troubling judgment that seems to run in the family. No wonder the Lin family finds itself in such disarray. Finally, the truth slips from your lips. You, Aunt Lin, and my half-brother, all wish for my early demise to clear a path for him. Once I am gone, Yun Fengnian's position will be secure, and it will only take a word for him to pursue Qin Fei. Yun Fengnian's face flushed red as I exposed their sordid schemes before the assembly. I do not. I have no such intentions.
Ah, grommeté.
Enraged at my public unveiling of the Lin family's ulterior motives, Lin Laotai struggled to catch her breath, clutching her chest as she sank into a chair. Her gaze darted between Qin Fei and Yun Fengnian, who, despite her docility, was hardly a worthy match for her grandson in light of the Qin family's stature. Once Lin Laotai regained her composure, it dawned on her that she had been ensnared in Qin Fei's ploy, becoming an unwitting pawn. The more she reflected, the more incensed she became, her complexion darkening. Observing the situation escalate, the onlookers hastily intervened, urging the matriarch to calm down and advising me to temper my words. Servants scrambled to provide Lin Laotai with medication for her distress. Please, madam, do not let anger consume you. Let the younger generation resolve their own matters. Indeed, indeed. It is your birthday celebration. Why concern yourself with their trivial disputes? Relax. Witnessing her mother in such a state, Lin Wan was further incensed by her own failures over the years to ascend in status. She clutched her father's arm, pleading for him to take action against me. My father bellowed, "Enough!" He surveyed the crowd, each one seemingly intent on targeting his beloved daughter. When his gaze landed on me, it softened considerably. Lin Lang, your health is fragile. You should return to rest. For the time being, refrain from venturing out. While my father ostensibly sentenced me to confinement, it was evident to discerning eyes that he sought to protect me from those who might provoke my ire. Lin Wan caught on immediately, her face a mask of disbelief. Darling, how can you be so biased? My father adopted a stern expression. Are you any different? With my mother's untimely passing, the household required a matriarch. When I was quite young, Lin Wan moved into our home under the pretense of caring for me. She indeed treated me well, at least until Yun Fengnian's arrival. I could comprehend her feelings. After all, Yun Fengnian was her flesh and blood. I inclined slightly, preparing to exit the banquet. As I passed Qin Fei, I paused. She had not anticipated that after all her machinations to humiliate me, I would merely withdraw with grace. Her lips tightened in frustration. Leaning closer, I whispered, Miss Qin, perhaps you should learn a thing or two about instigating trouble from Aunt Lin. Lin Wan had spent countless years honing her skills in dealing with ambitious young women. After my departure, it was not long before my cousin followed suit. Cousin, you looked so magnificent today. Of course. Is there ever a day I do not? She chuckled lightly, instructing, don't retire too early tonight. I'll come find you later for some entertainment. As I lounged on the sofa, feeling drowsy, my cousin finally arrived, having scaled the wall from the second-floor balcony. Dressed in a snug black outfit that accentuated her curves, I found myself tempted to reach out. Behind her trailed another figure clad in black. Upon closer inspection, it was Shou Hung, whom I had encountered at the welcome banquet. What's up? My cousin proudly introduced. This is my new little brother. Tonight, he'll be your chauffeur and bodyguard. Where are we headed? My cousin did not elaborate, merely urging me to don black attire. Together, the three of us vaulted over the wall, where two motorcycles awaited us in the shadows. We sped away, cutting through the night with breathtaking speed. I had not anticipated my cousin's exceptional riding skills. Hardly any vehicles could keep pace with us. I tightened my grip around Zhou Heng's waist, my hand brushing against his taut abs, causing him to tense up as we navigated a sharp turn. Why are you so tense? Haven't you ever given anyone a ride before? Zhou Heng steadied the bike and continued to accelerate. He felt warm against me and eventually murmured, "No, I've only ever carried you." Upon reaching our destination, a quaint villa in the suburbs, security was sparse, and patrols took their time. We approached the exterior wall of the living room and halted. My cousin handed me an earpiece. Once donned, I could hear the conversations inside with crystal clarity. The voices were familiar. "Fair, you claimed that Yun Linlang would be disgraced, and that her father, Yun Yicheng, would abandon her in favor of Yun Fingmian. Yet today, it appears she holds greater significance in his eyes than Yun Fingmian. I am beginning to question whether I should continue to trust you." The sound of fabric brushing against itself filled the air. "Xiwan, do not be hasty. I saw in the coded book that Yun Linlang is destined to die. Your Gu family will ultimately replace the Yun family as the foremost clan. The book also states that I am a harbinger of good fortune. Look at me. Having been ousted by my family, yet I managed to save Lin Laotai and return to the capital. Qin Fei and Gu Xiwan, how utterly innocent they seem." Unbeknownst to them, 3 figures lurked outside the wall, eavesdropping as they schemed to dismantle and plunder the Yun family. Especially Qin Fei, her voice resonating with fervor. The Yun family, this capitalist entity, has monopolized every industry it ventures into, leaving no opportunity for latecomers. We must seize this chance to inflict a severe blow on the Yun family and capture their market share. Gu Shiyan sighed. Regrettably, we do not know how long we must wait for such an opportunity. Qin Fei's tone brightened. It won't be long. The cipher manuscript indicates that 1 month after Yun Linlong's tragic accident, Yun Yicheng will commit a significant blunder. Shiyan, just be patient a while longer. Though their words were in Chinese, their meaning eluded me. It was only on the return home that realization dawned on me. So, that's it. No wonder Qin Fei has been causing me trouble despite never having met me. Her aim is to eliminate the Yun family and elevate herself to a position of wealth. I initially thought she was merely fixated on Gu Shiyan, but her ambitions are far grander, seeking to topple the entire Yun family. Upon grasping this, I found it amusing. In contrast, my cousin had lost the exuberance she displayed when she first took me to the theater and now stood in a corner, murmuring to herself. I approached her, crouched down, and gently prodded her with my elbow. "Cousin, why the heavy heart? Speak up, I'm all ears. Are you hiding something from me? Like, how did you know they would discuss such important matters here tonight?" My cousin hesitated, eyes shut tight as she steeled herself to reveal the truth. "Actually, the cipher manuscript Qin Fei mentioned is my creation. Not only that manuscript, but this entire world you inhabit is a realm from a novel I penned. I am the author of this story. One day, exhausted from writing, I fell asleep and awoke within the confines of my own narrative. It took me considerable time to accept my cousin's assertion that the world I inhabited was a creation of her imagination. She had entered the story, and due to the privileges of the author, intended to choose the role of the female protagonist. The protagonist would, at the age of 6, be abducted to the mountains and endure a miserable existence until I returned to the capital for recuperation, at which point I would be mistaken for her and become a substitute. My cousin explained that all the experiences Qin Fei had, being favored by Gu Shiyan and protected by Yun Fingmian, were originally meant for her. Meanwhile, I was merely a supporting character, destined to die in a car accident, serving as the white moonlight in the narrative. The cipher manuscript is essentially my outline. I feared I might forget key plot points, so I brought it into the story. The pieces finally fell into place. So, Qin Fei discovered your manuscript and, following its timelines, sought out pivotal figures to enact what was originally your story. I still found myself perplexed. If this was initially your storyline, why not follow it, marry Gu Shiyan, and dismantle the Yun family to establish a new dynasty? My cousin looked at me with tear-filled eyes. When I was in the world outside the book, I was attracted to women, not men. Thus, I cannot follow the narrative of this story. I was taken aback. Recalling how my cousin often clung to me, I cautiously asked, "You're not harboring feelings for me, are you?" "Rest assured," my cousin replied firmly, "we are cousins. I would never cross that boundary." "Oh no." Her expression turned grave. "I just remembered that next month is when you, dear cousin, will have your car accident, marking the moment they overthrow the Yun family. What should we do, cousin? I cannot bear to witness your demise." Sob, sob, sob. She embraced me tightly, burying her face in my neck, weeping uncontrollably, snot and tears flowing freely. I was resigned. thankful that my night attire was sufficiently thick. After contemplating, I decided to summon Zhou Heng. I held my cousin close, resembling an emperor captivated by beauty. There's a matter that could upheave the capital. If it fails, your family will suffer. If it succeeds, your family will stand alongside the Yun family. Are you willing to take the risk? Zhou Heng's profound gaze met mine, laced with fervor and longing. I am. However, should we succeed, I require a promise from Mississippi.
All right.
My cousin tilted her head. Cousin, what are you two discussing? I ruffled her disheveled hair. I said, since they eagerly anticipate my demise, I shall oblige and die for their amusement. I perished. Just as the manuscript foretold, I suffered a car accident, leaving behind a dismembered corpse. Only the severed limbs at the accident site underwent DNA testing, confirming they belonged to Yun Linling. My father sat in silence for several days, and when Lin Wan located him, he appeared to have aged a decade, his spirit utterly diminished. Yun Fengmian ceased pretending to be a dutiful son, directly coercing my father to transfer all shares of the group to him. Lin Wan also dropped her facade, demanding the ancestral home and all treasured heirlooms. My father refused, only to be struck unconscious by a vase hurled by Yun Fengmian, subsequently confined in a hospital. Meanwhile, I resided in a villa prepared in advance, observing all that transpired through surveillance. After Yun Fengmian admitted my father to the hospital, he orchestrated a switch, replacing him with an elderly man who bore a resemblance to my father. Before long, an authorization letter from my father emerged from the hospital, appointing Yun Fengmian as the executive director, temporarily granting him all powers of the Yun Group. Just when Yun Fengmian believed he had secured the reins of power, news arrived that the Gu family had intercepted a significant project, resulting in substantial losses for the Yun family. Furious, Yun Fengmian stormed into the Gu household, demanding, Gu Shiyuan, wasn't he agreed that we would collaborate on this project? Why does the final proposal only bear the Gu family's name? Are you deceiving me? Gu Shiyuan sat calmly in his executive chair. Why should I share a feast I can enjoy alone? Without your father and sister, who in the business world would still regard you with respect? Do you truly believe you deserve it? Before Yun Fengmian could retaliate, a melodious voice chimed from behind. Shiyuan, could you take a look at where the wedding venue should be set? Yun Fengmian turned in disbelief, seeing Qin Fei in a red dress, radiantly entering without sparing him a glance. He pointed at Qin Fei. Didn't you promise to marry me? I wouldn't have disclosed my sister's itinerary otherwise. Qin Fei scoffed lightly, leaning in to embrace Gu Shiyuan. Did you really believe what I said? How foolish. I have no affection for you whatsoever. If it weren't for my desire to bring down the Yun family, I wouldn't even glance in your direction. After speaking, she planted a kiss on Gu Shiyuan's lips. Very well. Yun Fengmian turned to leave, but was intercepted by 2 bodyguards at the door. Gu Shiyuan's ominous voice rang out. Little Yun, since you've come, you might as well stay. Remember to prepare a grand gift for my wedding with Fei. Yun Fengmian was confined to another courtyard, well fed and cared for. Gu Shiyuan pressured him to sign the share transfer agreement, appointing the Gu family as suppliers to the Yun family. Yun Fengmian, displaying considerable fortitude, resisted for 2 days but ultimately succumbed to force, signing the document. Just when Gu Shiyuan believed he held all the power, striding into the Yun family to flaunt his triumph, he was informed that the contract was void. Slamming his fist on the table, Gu Shiyuan exclaimed, You think it's void just because you say so? This was signed by your new president, Yun Fengmian. How could it possibly be invalid? Because he is no longer the new president of the Yun family, and thus any documents he signed are, of course, void. The bodyguards swung the door open, and I strolled in with measured steps, followed by Lawyer Chen, while Zhou Heng pushed my father's wheelchair alongside me. Gu Shiyuan's eyes widened in shock. You all were already. I settled into the executive chair, tapping my fingers lightly on the table. I apologize for disappointing you. All these recent events have been a grand scheme. And you, my dear sirs, are merely pawns. I smiled. Continuing, I fear your conspiracy with Qin Fei is destined to fail. After all, premeditated murder, embezzlement, and improper bidding, each of these charges is sufficient to land you behind bars. Gu Shiyuan, unwilling to accept the collapse of his dreams, could only grit his teeth in frustration. Suddenly, he recalled something and declared anyway. The substantial order my Gu Corporation secured 3 months ago is sufficient to elevate our standing. I smiled quietly, gesturing for others to leave. Gu Shiyuan's assistant rushed in, disheveled and distressed, exclaiming, President Gu, it's terrible. The previous order has been revealed to have issues with the raw materials, and a multitude of clients have initiated a public lawsuit. Gu Shiyan abruptly turned to me. I smiled and nodded as Zhou Heng draped a coat over my shoulders. 3 months later, Gu Corporation found itself mired in numerous lawsuits, incurring substantial losses and unable to recover. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling window, I listened to Zhou Heng report the incessant stream of favorable news, my expression unwavering. I turned to him and inquired, "What was it that you initially wanted me to agree to?" Zhou Heng's demeanor shifted from relaxed to serious as he responded, "To marry me." I turned to face Zhou Heng, his profound gaze reflecting the light from outside, as well as my own silhouette. "Is this what you desired?" I gently swirled the glass of red wine in my hand, the liquid undulating into splendid arcs. Zhou Heng stepped closer, his voice low and resolute. "From the moment I rescued you from that car accident at 16, I knew you were the one for me." I raised an eyebrow. "Then why wait until now to confess?" His ears flushed slightly, yet he stood firm. At that time, I was merely the inconspicuous second son of the Zhou family, lacking the standing to be beside the esteemed daughter of the Yun family. Over the years, I have tirelessly strengthened the Zhou Corporation to be worthy of you. I recall the information my cousin had uncovered. The man who gifted me a jade bracelet at the welcome banquet had been silently safeguarding me for years unbeknownst to me. "You were aware of the password book all along?" I asked. Zhou Heng nodded. "When your cousin approached me for collaboration, she revealed everything. She mentioned that in the original plot of this world, you were destined to die. I could not allow such a fate to transpire." I approached him, gently tracing the long scar on his arm. "So, you cooperated with us in this charade?" He grasped my hand. "As long as it ensures your safety, I would willingly partake in any number of performances." Outside, the sunset gilded the skyline of the capital with a golden hue. I reflected on the myriad experiences of these years, from being derided by many to now firmly holding the position of leader of the Yun family, from nearly losing my life to personally sending my enemies to prison. "Zhou Heng," I murmured, "I have a temper, as you well know." He chuckled softly. "Perfect. I rather enjoy seeing you unleash your ire. I may not be a gentle wife. I require no gentleness, only the authentic you." As I gazed into his eyes, brimming with unmasked affection, I finally smiled. "Very well, I accept your proposal." 3 months later, at the grandest wedding in the capital, I donned a custom-made wedding gown, linking arms with my father as we approached Zhou Heng. My father's health had significantly improved after careful recuperation, and his eyes sparkled with pride. My cousin in the audience winked at me, mouthing, "See, my storytelling has finally bestowed you with a perfect ending." As we exchanged rings, Zhou Heng whispered in my ear, "In this lifetime, I shall protect you." I looked at this man who had silently guarded me since my youth, my heart swelling with warmth. "In this life, we shall walk together." After the wedding, Zhou Heng and I stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Yun Corporation's highest floor, gazing down at the vibrant city below. Gu Shiyan and Qin Fei have been sentenced to 10 years, Zhou Heng informed me. I nodded calmly. Yun Fengmian is exhibiting good behavior in the rehabilitation center. My father plans to offer him a chance for redemption upon his release. Your stepmother, Lin Wan, has admitted to her involvement in your mother's demise. The law will serve her the justice she deserves, I stated with tranquility. Let the past remain in the past. Zhou Heng embraced me from behind. What are your plans moving forward? I turned to face him, my eyes sparkling. Naturally, we shall lead the Yun and Zhou families to even greater heights. He chuckled softly. That aligns perfectly with my desires. Outside, countless lights twinkled like stars in the night sky. I knew that our story was only just beginning. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and support with a like. Until we meet again in the next tale.